I always had the same dream. Uneasy, sticky, like a night fog that wraps around you and doesn't let go. There was a long corridor with no doors, only walls covered in old scratches. And at the end, a faint light calling to me. Every time, I would walk further and further, but always woke up before reaching the end. I didn't pay much attention to it. I thought, just my brain clinging to some random image. But when the same dream lasts for 3 years straight, every single night, always the same, you start to wonder if it's even a dream at all. In the dream, it was always quiet. No sound of footsteps, no breathing. Only the faint flicker of light somewhere ahead. And something else, the feeling that someone was walking behind me. Not rushing, not hiding, just step for step. That night, it was the same. The same corridor, the same walls. But something had changed. The light ahead was brighter, closer. I felt it in my chest. This time, I would reach it. I walked faster, almost running. And then, for the first time in years, I touched the light. I woke up, gasping for air. My heart was pounding as if I'd truly been running. And then I realized, I wasn't in my room. The walls around me were covered in scratches. The long corridor. And the light ahead. Only this time, it wasn't a dream. I touched the cold wall. Beneath my fingers was a real, rough surface. "This can't be," I whispered, but my voice didn't sound like my own. I walked forward. Every step echoed in the emptiness. And then I heard it. The other step. The one that had always followed me in my dreams. Slow. Precise. I didn't look back. Fear tightened my throat, but something inside me screamed, "Don't look." I kept walking, and the light grew warmer. It pulled me in. It felt like if I reached it, everything would finally make sense. When only a few steps remained, I heard a whisper. It didn't belong to a human. It was as if the walls themselves were breathing. "You've finally woken up." The light exploded, and everything drowned in white. I opened my eyes, and was lying in my bed. The room looked normal. The window, the desk, my old poster on the wall. I laughed nervously. A dream within a dream? But then I noticed the dust and scratches on my fingers, and a mark on my wrist, as if someone had grabbed me tightly back there in the corridor. I remembered the words, "You've finally woken up." And for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't sure if I was truly awake. For the next few days, I walked around as if in a fog. The dream returned, but now it wasn't the same as before. The corridor no longer felt foreign. I recognized every scratch on the walls, as if I had touched them in reality. And every time I woke up, I found new marks on my body. Dust, scratches, even a bruise on my shoulder. I decided to run an experiment. Before going to bed, I set up a camera to record what happens when I fall asleep. The night was quiet. I dreamed of the same corridor again, but this time the light was so close. I was almost touching it when something stopped me. That same step behind me. Slow, heavy, and a voice that made me freeze. "Don't go further. It's not time yet." I turned around, for the first time in all these years, and I saw myself, but not the present me. Younger, me at about 10 years old. His eyes were as dark as the night, and he looked at me as if I had done something terrible. "Who are you?" My voice cracked. "I am who you were before you woke up," he answered. "And you made a mistake when you followed the light." I woke up, gasping for air. The room was the same, but the cold wouldn't leave me. I rushed to the camera. My heart was pounding as I pressed play. In the video, I slept peacefully until a certain moment, and then got up. Slowly, as if still dreaming, I walked to the wall and ran my hand along it. And then, I simply vanished. For several minutes the frame was empty. Then suddenly I appeared again, lying on the bed, covered in dust, and on my wrist a dark mark was clearly visible, as if someone had grabbed me. My whole body shook. This no longer looked like a dream. The next night, I didn't want to sleep, but the dream pulled me in anyway. The corridor greeted me with its familiar cold. And this time, the boy was waiting for me right away, standing in the light. "You've awakened something you shouldn't have," he said quietly. "Now it's looking for you here too." What is looking for me? I felt my heartbeat in my ears. The thing that lives between dreams. And if it finds your home, you won't wake up again. I stepped toward him, but the walls around me began to crack. The corridor trembled, and the light started to flicker. The boy stepped back. "You brought it here." I opened my eyes and heard it. In the darkness of my room, someone took a step. I sat on the bed, afraid to move. There was something in the darkness of the room. Not a sound, not a movement, a presence you couldn't mistake for anything else. Slowly, I reached for my phone, but the screen stayed black, as if the battery had died. Everything around me was unnaturally quiet. A step, another one. They moved from my desk toward the bed, and then I heard a whisper, almost inaudible, but it cut through the silence like a knife. "You brought it. Now it won't leave." I jumped up and switched on the light. The room was empty. I stood there, breathing hard, until my eyes fell to the floor. Dust, the same gray layer as in the corridor from my dream, and barefoot footprints leading straight to my bed. The next night, I couldn't take it anymore and lay down with a camera pointed at myself. I had to see what was really happening. Sleep came instantly. The corridor, the cold, and the light ahead. But this time, the boy wasn't waiting for me. The corridor was empty. "Where are you?" I shouted into the darkness. The echo returned my words, but another voice whispered over them. "He's already here." The light ahead began to fade, and from the darkness a figure emerged. Not the boy. Tall, thin, with arms too long, brushing against the walls. Its face was hidden in shadow, but I saw the smile. I stumbled back, but the corridor behind me was gone. Only walls, and that same whisper. "You won't wake up." I screamed and opened my eyes in my room. The camera was still recording. I grabbed it, my hands shaking as I pressed play. At first, everything looked normal. I was sleeping. Then, slowly, I got up. I stood in front of the camera and stared straight into the lens. On the video, my face smiled, but I didn't remember doing it. And then, I leaned closer to the camera and whispered, "You think you woke up?" The recording cut off. I felt something change in the room. The air grew heavier. And then, from the corner where the wall should have been, came a cold breath. I turned slowly. There was no wall. There was a corridor. My corridor from the dream. I stepped back, but my feet sank into that same gray dust. The lamp flickered, and behind me came a step. Slow, heavy, the same one. "Now you sleep forever," the voice said in the darkness. And the light went out.